Welcome to the spectrum of harmony. Embark on a journey through the rich and emotive world of chords, from the foundational triads that form the cornerstone of musical harmony to the complex tapestries woven by extended, altered, and borrowed chords. We're diving into all the basic and intermediate chord structures that will propel you in music. Alright, so let's get started. Jumping straight into it. What exactly is the very first chord we'll look at? Well, before we jump into the first chord, let me invite you to journey with me patiently as we traverse the tapestry of chords. The very first chord is the C major chord. The C major chord is comprised of the notes C, E, and G, just like this. Now, when you really search deep within, that chord evokes a feeling of happiness. It's a feeling of positivity. Just think about that. C, E, and G. Now, something else I want you to know about these chords is you have different inversions. You could play a straight C, E, G, or you could play an E, G, C, or you could play a G, C, E, like that. It really depends. Now, this chord may seem very basic, but it's not basic. This chord can be quite helpful depending on how you use it. I've heard the great Herbie Hancock do some amazing things with major chords. The great George Benson said in his mind he sees chords as either minor or major. So there's a ton you could do with major chords, especially when you know how they interrelate. Let me give you an example. A C major chord combined with another major chord could just be mind-blowing in terms of how it sounds. Let's play a C major chord and a B flat major chord together. This is what you get. C major. Let's take it up an octave. And here's B flat. Imagine that. Those are just two major chords stacked. So don't begrudge major chords. They could be quite helpful. And let's play around with a C major chord on a C walking bass with some saxophone. It really depends on how you use it. C major come out. So you get the idea. A C major chord could be very useful to you as a musician. It can be used as the tonic in a C major scale piece, starting or ending a piece to provide resolution or transitioning between verses and choruses. Now this is a C major, but a C major on top of something like a G sharp can give a totally different feel. So imagine we're on the key of G sharp and you play a C major on a G sharp bass. That just gives a totally different feel. So don't begrudge your C major chord. It could just be really helpful to you as a musician. Chord number 2, C major 7th. The thing I like about C major 7th, C, E, G, and B, smooth, jazzy, and slightly more complex than a simple C major chord. It adds a sense of depth and sophistication. Now, let's play an inversion by taking the C from the bottom and putting it up here. See that? Or let's just take it up. See that? Now, my favorite is a G, B, C, E because of that cluster between the B and the C. That tension. I like that. It's often used in jazz and pop music for a richer sound, and it works well as a transition chord or to create a more layered sound when moving from the tonic to other chords. So let's play around with our C major 7th. Here we go. I'll play the very basic chord first. All right, fun. C major 7th, you gotta love it. Let's move on to the next one. This one is C major 6th. It has the notes C, E, G, and A. Warm and cheerful with a slight nostalgic touch. The addition of the 6th note adds a different flavor to the basic major chord, major 6th. This chord is great for adding a light, breezy feel to a progression. It can be used in place of C major 7th or to transition smoothly to chords like A minor, the relative minor of C, or F major. So from here, you could go to an F major. Let's play with a C major 7th, and a C major with the 6th note added. The C major 6th or C 6th. Here we go. Major 7th. Then a 6th. See that? Major 7th, 6th, major. That's a 6th. major 7th. And you can play with the notes. Now you're more familiar with the 7th, the 6th, the 5th, the 3rd, and the 1. Alright, well, you get the idea. Let's move on to the next chord, C major 9th. This is one of my favorites because it uses all 5 fingers, C, E, G, B, and D, if you can stretch that far. It's open, it's airy, and it's reflective. The 9th adds a layer of emotional depth. And when you take it down an octave, it's very relaxing, uplifting, and at the same time introspective. It's perfect for intros, verses, or any place in a song where a spacious, expansive feel is desired. It pairs well with minor chords and dominant 7th chords for a dynamic progression. So now we have accounted for C, D, E, G, A, and B. The only note that we haven't accounted for in the chords is F, because we've done this, we've done this, we've done this. So I hope these are making you feel more comfortable. Now you may ask, what is the idea behind the numbers? Well, if you're on the key of C, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So when we talk about more advanced chords and you're talking about a C 11th, it's generally everything. So let's start from here, major 7th, but we also have C 7th, and then you add the D and it becomes C9, and then you add the F and it becomes C11, and then you add the A and it becomes C13th. Let's take it up an octave. That's how you get these names. Now, you don't have to play every single note for it to be called C13th. When you understand that sound, you could opt for a revision of the chord. So instead of playing, I could play, for example. So just keep that in mind. Now, taking it up a notch, we could play a C major, but without the 7th, giving it a cleaner sound, and we could call it C add 9. There's a lot of space in between the G and the D. This chord has a cleaner sound, but it retains that openness of the 9th. I love the 9th. This chord is versatile. It can be used for a sparkly, uplifting feel in various musical contexts, from pop to rock. C sus2 is our next chord. Simply a 1, a 2, and a 5. Now you must have heard this in some songs. It's quite popular. Also very useful to run a scale, as it were. It's great for creating tension. Let's go back to major. C sus2. That's it. C sus2. The seventh chord that we'll take a look at here in our list is C sus4. And it's C, F, and G. It has a similar sound to the sus2, but it has a richer, fuller sound. It provides a sense of suspension or anticipation. You hear this quite a lot in religious music. You can't miss that sus4. Usually on the amen in religious music. Well, it's useful for adding texture and delay. It's delay in resolution. So it often precedes a resolution back to the major chord, or it could move to a related minor chord. And that's it for part 1, but let's jump straight into part 2. And as we jump into part 2, let's play a little bit more music and have fun with some of the chords that we just learned. Let's go. Play the music. Major. Play along. Major 7th. Major 9th. Lower octave. Major 9th. You see all that cluster? Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Let's move into part 2. And the idea is to just take it nice and easy. Venturing ahead, the idea here is to explore beyond the basic and extended major chords. We're venturing into the realm of more complex chords that can dramatically alter the mood and color of music. Let's discuss some of these chords, starting from a C root note, their component notes, their emotional impact, and how they can be used in relation to other chords. So the very first chord that I would like to feature here is the C diminished. I'm featuring the C diminished because it is so popular in creepy music. For those suspense shows, it's so useful. You can't miss it. This is how it sounds. See that? Now, that is just the very first way you could play that. You could take the C and move it up here. See that? So, when you are playing with these chords, I want you to understand that you can move the notes around. Okay? Diminished chords have always intrigued me because they immediately put you into a different state. A state of, you could say, suspense, a state of being on edge. And it could be very helpful when that is the feeling you want to evoke. Like a C diminished on a pipe organ versus on a piano, it gives a very different feel. Let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about here. Let me just temporarily change the instrument to a pipe organ and just check it out. Check out the feeling that it evokes. Let's grab a pipe organ, or I'll layer a pipe organ. Let's see if I can do that. Pipe organ coming up. It's a Windows sound. Let's get the pipe organ. Okay. Check this out. How does that make you feel? It changes everything, just changes the state that you're in from a state of bliss to a state of dread, doesn't it? Very different. All right, let's revert back to our happy place with the piano sound. All right. So that's where you could use the C diminished. When you want to evoke unstable and mysterious. Diminished chords evoke a sense of suspense and are often used to heighten drama. They work well as passing chords to transition between more stable chords, especially in minor keys. Let me give you a quick example. So from C, if I wanted to go to a D minor, I could go from a C major to a C sharp diminished and to D. So that's the use of diminished chords. You may not have known that it's called a diminished, but if you go from this, sharpen the C, that's a C sharp diminished. See that? So in the same token, this is a B major. Now if I did this, it's a C diminished. You use that to go to a C sharp minor. See that? Excuse me. Okay, so the C diminished can be very useful depending on what you want to do. The next chord is a C augmented. It's called a C plus or C aug, and the notes are simply from the major, you sharpen the fifth to a G sharp. So instead of this, it's bright, but with a sense of unease or tension due to the raised fifth. It sounds a bit unresolved. Like, okay, what's going to happen next? So you could use it moving from a C major to A minor, like this. That's A minor right there, just an inversion of it. Or you could use it when going to an F major. You see, in lieu of a seventh, which people normally do the seventh and go to the F, but you could do then an F like that. It really depends on what you're trying to do. But augmented chords are great for creating a sense of motion or lead into another chord, often used to modulate to a new key or to introduce harmonic variation. Chord number 10 is C dominant 7th sharp 5. Now, a C dominant 7th is C, E, G, B flat. I really haven't shown you that one. So this is a C dominant 7th, but when you sharpen the 5th, it becomes tense. A little bit dramatic with both the sharp 5 and the dominant 7th. It adds layers of dissonance and urgency. See that? This chord is often used in jazz and classical music to create tension that resolves to the tonic, making it a powerful tool for transitions and endings. But you need to know the context. Where are you going with it? It really depends. But you can use it to make a great transition, leading to an ending. Chord number 11, C7 flatted 5th. The C dominant 7 flat 5. So the notes C, E, G, B flat, and then we're going to flatten the 5th. This is one of my favorite chords that I use all the time. I use this quite a bit to transition to an F major. So from here, you could also use it moving from a C major 7th and go into an F major 7th. See that? C major 7th. It's used in a lot of contemporary music. Let's go an octave down. Like that. Okay, so it's ideal for a transition from a C to an F. All right. Very, very useful indeed. All right. Number 12, C half diminished, or C minor 7 flat 5. Here are the notes. You got a C, an E flat, a G flat, and a B flat. Now when you boil this down, this could be interpreted as an E flat minor 6th, but we're going to look at it as a C half diminished. It's somber, but it's still unresolved. It's less tense than a fully diminished chord, which would be like this, but it's there, right? Less tense. It's a sense of longing or melancholy. It's not as aggressive as a stark, full diminished. It's often used in jazz and classical progressions, serving as a transition chord in minor key progressions or leading into a resolution, typically to a minor chord. It really depends on what you're trying to do with it. Number 13, a fully diminished 7th. And this is C flat, E flat, G flat, and B flat flat, which is A. So C, E flat, G flat, and B double flat, B flat, flat, B flat, flat, which is A. You might have heard like this. You might have heard me play that chord a few times. Like that. Or could be a very useful run. Okay, this chord is a powerful tool for modulation, and it can lead into various chords by acting as a pivot. It's often used to heighten drama or suspense before resolving to a more stable chord. Now watch this trick. If you take the minor chord of every note in a diminished sequence, you will have a perfect cascading feel of suspense like this. Take the minor of C, the minor of E flat, the minor of F sharp, the minor of A, and you keep moving it up like this. Back at the beginning. And on and on. And we at the end of part 2. But it would be unfair to end part 2 without a little music. So let's play some music before moving into part 3. That's a diminished chord. You can see, it still goes quite well here. Full diminished. Now let's play. And that was the 7th flat and 5th. It is again. Alright, you jam some chords now. That's it for the music. Let's jump into our final part for today. The Spectrum of Harmony, part 3. Now, these chords that we've been looking at, they add color and tension and interest to music, making them valuable tools for composers and songwriters. These chords probably won't be maximized by a lot of people. There will be some people who are improvisers and adventurous. Before you even become really good at improvisation, you have to be willing to take risks. These chords will help you get there. Passing transition chords, creating a sense of movement and emotional depth. The diminished, augmented, and altered dominant chords can dramatically shift the mood in a piece of music, leading listeners through unexpected turns and resolutions. There are a lot of listeners who are great listeners because they can hear these shifts. They may not be able to play, but they understand the emotion of the music. And that's why we add color. It's like adding a different flavor for those who have educated palates in that degree of music. In relation to other chords, these additional chords, they often function to introduce tension that resolves to the tonic or another stable chord, enhancing the harmonic richness of a composition. Let's talk about the very first one. It's C minor. Did you notice that the music I just played for you was on C minor, C, E flat, and G? It's somber, it's introspective, and it carries a sense of melancholy and emotional depth compared to its major counterpart. Check this out. Major, happy, joyful. Minor, moody and broody. As a tonic in the key of C minor, it sets a serious or reflective tone for a piece and is commonly used throughout various sections of a song for its emotional expressiveness. But in this jazz track that I'm playing, it still gives a reflective air. Alright, well that's the very first one. Let's move on. The next chord, number 15, C minor sixth. The notes are C, E flat, G, and A. It adds a layer of complexity and intrigue. That A comes from a major world, so to speak. What's it doing here? Well, that's the intrigue, right? It offers that intrigue to the somberness of the C minor chord, with the sixth introducing a slight lift or resolution. Very slight, but not quite there. It can serve as a pivot chord, leading to different harmonies or adding color for a minor progression. It's also used in jazz for its rich, colorful sound. It's kind of cool when you combine that sixth with other things and you throw it an octave above. So instead of, you can put it all the way up here, but if you bring everything down an octave, but it's even crazier when you add a sharp 11. And when you add a ninth, it adds some sort of finality, but at the same time keeps you almost hanging. Those are the tricks that adding an A to a basic C minor can do. And then when you take it up to the next octave, makes things rather interesting. Next chord is C minor seventh, and that is C, E flat, G, and B flat. It's one of my favorites. When I'm on the key of C, I use this. Or sometimes I could choose to take away the E flat and put an F in there instead and take out the G, giving a more suspended sound. Or I could use the G in there sometimes. Sometimes I could choose to put the E flat an octave above, leave the B flat in there and the G, but put the F in there. So it gives a different feel. And just remember the F is really the 11th, just move down. It's frequently found in jazz, the C minor seventh and soul, and it works well in both main progressions and as a transition chord, often leading to the 4 or 5 in a minor key progression. The next one is rather interesting to say the least. It offers a bittersweet, almost haunting quality to the C minor chord. This chord has a distinctive sound and is often used in jazz and classical music to evoke a deep introspective mood, especially at the end. Check this out. Ooh. What do you even do with that? Tune in for the next episode. That's what the chord is saying. Very useful in creating tension or sense of unresolved longing, and is used sparingly for dramatic effect. It's not one of your more common chords. It's sophisticated and it's suspenseful. Minor. Minor 6. That flat 7th, minor 7th, let's sharpen that. Ooh, that's a bad chord. All right, well, it has been a lot of fun going through all these chords, but you need to remember these chords are fundamental to music that has a melancholic or reflective mood. These minor chords providing different shades of emotional depth to a composition. Did you notice that change in mood? Now each chord can contribute to a rich harmonic landscape, offering composers and songwriters a variety of textures and moods to work with. I've shown you a boatload of chords, but you got to remember these exist all on other keys. So multiply 12 by 17. Oh my goodness, you mean there's tons of these chords? Yeah, if each key has 17, and we're only just starting because there's so many I haven't even shown you, you do the calculation. 17 times 12. You've got your work cut out for you, keyboardist, pianist, musician, to be able to play all these chords. And we haven't even talked about the multiplicity of inversions. There's so many chords to master. And that's why my advice to you is get them down really good and begin relying more on experimentation once you've gotten the basics down, because that's how you'll discover. That's how I discovered so many different voicings of these chords that helped me in my music, that I didn't read in any book, that no teacher taught me. I found them out myself. I want to encourage you to do the same, okay? Just remember, these chords can be interchanged within a progression to modulate the emotional intensity or to lead smoothly to other chords within a piece. My advice is practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the better you're going to get. I hope you enjoy this journey with me. Now that we've worked so hard, we can deviate from the C chords to other chords. That's what I would like to do right now. So why don't we play some music, and why don't we have some fun playing whatever we like. I'll let you go for a bit. Here we go. Fun on the key of C minor. adventure. I hope you enjoyed it. The more you practice, the better you'll get, and the more familiar these chords will be to you. The idea is for them to be like a pawn in your hand. Keep practicing and keep enjoying the musical journey. Thank you, my friends. I'll speak to you, hopefully, very soon. Let me know how you get on with these chords.